let me just observe my mind and observe how the thoughts in my mind are flowing. The movement of my thoughts, my desires, my ideas creates noise. But let it be such that when I choose, I can reduce that noise and stop that noise. Consider the thoughts in the mind to be like cars on the road. And let me ask myself, how is the traffic of my mind? Simply visualize the thoughts in the mind beginning to slow down. Just like cars which slow down and create order and discipline on the roads, in the same way, as my thoughts begin to slow down, I experience a sense of calm and peace returning to me. I experience the mind becoming silent. Beneath the movement of my thoughts, there is the desire for peace. And so I tell my mind, "Oh, my mind, the peace you seek is already within you. Return to the first reality. Return to the first truth. And that is, I am peace." Be with that thought. Be in that thought. And as my mind begins to experience this peace, the desires begin to reduce. And I feel the wonder of silent space. And further, let me now enter into sacred space. Let me once again bring my awareness up towards my seat in the center of the forehead of the body. Picture yourself as the star-like being of light, the soul, the eternal being of living light, seated in the center of the forehead. This area known as the region of the third eye. This is the sacred space upon which I, the soul, sit. This is my original home, and I am aware that I am here in the center of the forehead. It is then that I experience my own sacredness. That is my own purity, my own divinity. That part of me which is free from all ego fear, from all anger. The part of me which is always pure, the part of me which has no desire. Just be with this thought. I, the eternal, living point of spiritual energy. I am pure. I am divine. I am eternal.
Good evening, everyone, on this Thursday evening. How are you? Hello.
Hi, Sister Dipti. It's Lynn.
Hello.
How
Hello.
are you?
Good, thank you. Very good.
Oh, well,
Good
and keeping
evening.
warm.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Good. So, such happy
Om
response.
Shanti, Sister Dipti.
Hello, Om Shanti. Very good. Lovely. So, today we have a beautiful topic, and I'm sure all of us somehow or the other experience the whole journey of fulfillment. And sometimes we make so much effort to fill ourselves, but then we feel a subtle drain. It's like from the beginning of the year, you probably had certain intentions that this year I'm going to do this. When a new month begins, then you say, well, this month I'm going to do better. When a new week begins, you think, oh, well, I want to make this week a much better and productive week. A new day begins and you think, oh, well, today I just have to do it. Today it has to happen. And that yet quietly, as much as the effort that you make, slowly, there's a feeling of a leakage. Feels like something is draining the energy out that you think you invested in. And sometimes people have a physical conversation in which they say, I think I'm eating the right food. I think I'm doing the right thing, but something is draining my energy. And in the physical world and in a physical body, one of the things that often drains that energy is infection or toxins in the body. And so as a result of that, you put in so much, but you feel drained because the energy that you have is not accumulating, but something is taking it away. Sometimes in the modern world, they say one of the big things that you have to be careful of that drains your energy is when the body is filled with parasites and all those kind of things. So we realize on a physical level today, we can identify the kind of things that people feel, and as a result of that, they can make the effort to be doing the work that needs to be done. But today we're going to look at more of the subtle areas of leakage. So sometimes On a physical level, you realize that there's certain things that need to be done. Maybe I need to be drinking more water. I need to be taking my supplements. I need to be eating the right food. I need to be exercising. All the things that we these days get to know of so much that can support physical energy. But what are the subtle leaks? And I want to start off firstly with the whole idea of self-identity. You know, very often in our lives, when I don't have a steady self-identity, then many things that happen along the way can drain that energy. So what do I mean by that? Is, for example, very often we get so used to identifying ourselves as a certain role, as a certain personality, as a certain team member, as a certain relationship. And yes, they are all real in this world, but I'm more than these. And very often, because I am trying to secure myself in those roles and secure myself in those relationships, I try to work so hard to feel steady in that. But if my self-respect is not based on something deeper, everything that will happen will at times shake me, make me think too much, let me lose my energy. You know, one of the things I have learned in my own spiritual life, that one of the deepest things that one has to grow in and nurture and make strong is your deep sense of self-respect. Not ego, self-respect. And when I'm able to identify who I really am, I'm able to awaken that self-respect in a very natural state. So, for example, if I have just identified myself with a certain role, for example, or a certain relationship in my life, and when that relationship is not being fulfilled, I have negative thoughts, I have waste thoughts that nobody appreciates me, nobody recognizes what I do, I'm not good enough, I put in so much, but people just take me for granted. These kind of thoughts create a negative spiral, and it weakens my energy space. And so, yes, in our life, we have to play certain roles. We have to fulfill certain responsibilities. But at a spiritual level, we realize that I have to anchor my identity to something more deeper. I find that if I just hold on to a certain identity that is physical, I can very easily be hurt. I can very easily come into an emotional state because that physical relationship's needs are not purely met. You know, the other day I was just speaking to, actually this morning, I was speaking to a mother, and, you know, she had a very difficult weekend this weekend. It was Mother's Day, and she's having some difficulty with her husband, and her husband wasn't really interested to make Sunday a beautiful day for her. And she thought that maybe she and her family would spend time together on Sunday. So, as many mothers, they look forward to that day. And her husband at that point said he's busy and she cannot go out anywhere because they were busy. He was busy. And she was saying in that moment, initially, she felt so crushed because she said to herself, I love my family. I put in so much into my family. And as a result of that, I just want to spend family time. It's not that she was requiring a sense of being pampered, but just a sense of family time that she wanted to feel in a certain way. And then, so that couldn't happen for her. And so she was feeling quite crushed about that moment. And then suddenly she took some time and she stopped. And she said to herself, let me stop this emotional outburst right now. Because the more and more I become negative, the more and more I'm going to feel like a victim. I'm going to open a downward spiral. And when I open that downward spiral, I'm the first one who's going to suffer. So she decided that she would make a lovely lunch. She just shifted the energy. She wasn't going to become a victim of this. And she shifted a beautiful energy and she had a picnic in the garden at home. And her two kids were very happy. They were very happy that they could spend time like that with mom. The child was a bit sensitive because he knew what was happening, but he was grateful that mom wasn't so upset. And the husband didn't really cooperate, but she had a beautiful time with her children. Now, in those kind of moments, which are quite real moments in life, it becomes very difficult to manage that energy. And one has an expectation, a quiet expectation as a mom, that, you know what, it's Mother's Day, it's my day. And she could, in that moment, just allow everything to take away all the good feelings in her heart and feel crushed, or she could manage herself. And because her kids were so happy to have this creative picnic in the garden, the energy in the home settled. And slowly, as the day went by, there was even cooperation from the husband. Because his journey was his own journey, and he was struggling in his own journey as well. Now, why am I sharing the story? The story is about knowing that when things in my life happen and certain realities hit me hard, and those realities can make me fall, at a very critical point, I have to ask myself, do I see myself more than just this role? And I asked her that question. I said, what made you make the turnaround? What made you think at that point of time that, you know what? I'm not going to be a victim in this moment. I'm not going to allow this moment to spoil my journey. And my kids love me, and I will have this Mother's Day with them. I don't have to fight for it, but I'll make it beautiful. And she said that one of the things that she remembered is that I'm bigger than my role. I'm a soul. And it was interesting because, the journey of being a mother is a very personal, privileged moment where there's so much sentiments and emotion because it is a very beautiful space. But in that moment, she had the ability to understand that, yes, I have this role as a mom. This is the relationship I have as a mom. But in this moment, I'm not going to allow this moment to break me. And so she turned into the space of going deeper. And this is what our journey is about. It's about anchoring to something a lot more deeper, a reality that is constant. And when I anchor into a reality that is constant, and in spiritual terms, we understand that I am a being of energy. I play many parts in my life. I'm like this beautiful star of energy that adopts certain costumes and play many parts in my life's journey. But I'm not just my role. I'm not just my responsibility. I'm not just my relationship. And sometimes this is a hard one to just always feel comfortable with. But this is the space at which I store energy. Because if I'm so dependent on my role, I'm so dependent on just the physical relationships in my life. When things happen externally in this way, they can crush me. And many times in people's lives, it is hard. It's a very hard moment to say, I'm okay, that I can journey on. And it's not coming from a space of suppression. It's not coming from a space of denial, but it's coming from a space to be anchored in a deeper identity. Another example that I want to share with you as well is recently a young man said to me that in his company there was a financial issue and many in the company had to be retrenched. And he was in the peak of his journey, 26-year-old young person. And again, he had to face a certain reality. And the reality is that he was well educated, but, and there were many people in his life that were dependent on him because he was brought up by a single mom and he has two daughters, two sisters. And here he had to think of them because he wanted to look after them and be a good child and a good brother to his family. But here he was retrenched. And again, in this moment, it was a hard moment. Who am I? Am I not good enough? What is the journey of my life? And all these kinds of thoughts immediately drain your energy. They make something bigger for you. And it is hard. It's not the denial of that fact. It is hard because the person needs the financial support. But again, he had been a yogi for a number of years. And he said to himself, all right, so this is the reality. I face this reality. But that doesn't mean I'm not good enough. That doesn't mean that I don't matter. That doesn't mean that I am jobless. It's one scene that has closed, but I'll stay in my inner power to attract the next scene. And during that time of his life, he had to be so vigilant on his thoughts because it's so easy for the inner conversations of the mind to start to say, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe why did they have to retrench me and not somebody else? It's like the flood of thoughts and emotions and doubts can surface when a moment like that comes. But in that moment, it's like he was determined and he kept saying to himself, this door has closed, but another door is opening. I am valuable, I am capable, and I will be proactive. And it was a very difficult period of 3 weeks to a month where everything was very uncertain. But in that moment of time, it was most important to manage your thoughts properly. Because if he allowed one level of self-pity, 1 minute of doubt to come, it's like you invite a downward spiral to begin. And it was amazing. He had called me and he said, Sister Dipti, this is the hardest thing for me to do, but I have learned that I'm a valuable child of God. I have learned that nothing happens in the drama of my life which creates a loss, long as I stay in the right frame of mind. And I know to a level he had to keep reminding himself of this reality and the truth. And then he just happened to meet someone. And when your energy is right, this is very important to understand. When your energy is right, you become a magnet to draw the right people. And it just happened somehow or the other that when he least expected, he met up with this person, and the job that he now has pays him better, it's more secure, and he's a happier person. Now, some of us may be sitting here and saying, well, this all sounds great, but there's a reality out there which is quite harsh. But my personal experience in my own life and in journeying with people, I have realized that the most important thing in the darkest moments of your life, the most important things to hold on to deeply when things around you are difficult, is the frequency of energy that you're holding. Because anything that you will settle into will become a magnet. And if that magnet starts becoming negative, you will delay your life's journey and growth in a very, very deep, deep level. Yeah. So when we talk about subtle leakages that come within my being, and that leakages really come when I don't invest in my real identity. I find for myself that when this real identity that I keep talking about is really to anchor myself in this journey of knowing that I am a being of energy. I'm a being of light. I'm a soul that plays many roles in my life. They say how Shakespeare often shared that life is a stage on which we are actors. So my part is not the totality of who I am, but who I am in its consistency, in its stability, in its level of growth is this being. And this being authentically is a powerful being. And never ever forget that you are a powerful being. Again, it's not out of ego. It's not out of a sense of confidence that comes from an outward space, but from a reality and a truth. Your DNA is the DNA that is shared with God. You are God's child. Sometimes you look at certain kids and you say, you're tough. You must be so-and-so's kid. It's like amazing how you just immediately identify with them, or you see somebody and you say, oh, I see what you are expressing yourself. You must be part of such and such a family. It's like sometimes certain people's vibration and energy makes you remember which family they come from. And I think it's so beautiful in our own spiritual journey to always remember that I am the child of the Almighty. No? One doesn't have to say it from a space that is just convincing, but from the space of truth, from the space of recognition, from the space of awareness, that my life is a much more bigger story than what I face on a daily basis. compared to the journey of one day, it's like less than a microsecond of my path through eternity. I feel that when one is able to get perspective of time and perspective of our whole life story, our life journey as a soul, then little things become insignificant. I'm not saying suppress them. I'm not saying don't acknowledge them. But what I'm saying is do not allow them to start living you. Because your reality is a higher reality. Your reality is a beautiful reality. Even if today is a dark moment, a stormy moment of your life's journey, beyond this, there's a bigger story to your life. So these subtle leakages that come is when we forget who we are. You know? So when I forget who I am, then I become very sensitive when certain areas of my life are challenged. You know, somebody didn't acknowledge me and I feel hurt. Somebody didn't notice the things I've done and I feel disheartened. I may have put in certain things and nobody even noticed it. These kind of energies create a deep, deep sense of disheartenment. And you know, it's not that you just now allow people to treat you how they want to. But when you are in that space of self-respect, and when you know who you are and who it is that you belong to, you create a healthy emotional boundary for yourself. And that emotional boundary that you create is a protection. And that doesn't allow just everyone and everything to just hurt you. And I find that when you are able to do that, it's like after a period of time, people realize that you have self-respect or that they can't just break you with little things in life. And you know, after a period of time, the dynamics begin to change. And in all this that I'm talking now, I'm not sharing any vibration of force. I'm not sharing any vibration of fighting for your rights. I'm sharing the vibration of stepping into your real identity, stepping into your self-respect. And when you step into your deepest self-respect of knowing who I belong to, who am I, whom I belong to, and why am I here? These three questions, Daddy Janki, one of our senior heads, who was really a deep mentor in my life's journey, taught me, and it helped me so much, where every time I go into a place, whether it is in a workplace, I used to work with children, I worked at the university, and I had deadlines and colleagues and dynamics and power struggles and everything that I was exposed to. It wasn't that I lived in just a airy-fairy world. But whilst being in those places, I always kept saying to myself, Dipti, remember who you are. Remember who you belong to. And remember why you are here. And I found that over a period of time, when you make these three questions very powerful in your life, then the dynamics that take place around it no longer hold you, no longer affect you. So as I shared the example of a mother, and this is a very recent story because Mother's Day was on Sunday, you know, the more and more she was able to stay in her self-respect, and she didn't fight her husband, She just stayed in her power. And whatever it is that he was going through, he eased in his journey. Because, in life, nobody means to be ugly. Nobody means to be mean. Nobody. We only become mean and we only become whatever because we are hurting inside. A happy person, a kind person, a genuinely intact person will never want to give another person a hard time. Never. And so when people in our life have dropped their frequency, and in that same journey, I too drop my frequency, then nobody wins. Nobody. They've dropped their frequency. I've dropped my frequency. They are in a miserable, bad mood. And I decide that I'm so affected by that, and my mood has also changed. Two negative moods will never bring a positive solution. Never. Huh? And so, what is it that supports me and really protects my energy field so that I don't allow the subtle leakages to take place? Really take time tonight before you go to sleep and ask yourself the question very honestly. Who am I? It's a very important question to ask yourself. Often when I'm busy engaging with people, many times people say to me, I've lived 40 years of my life. I've lived 50 years of my life. And so much has changed in my life now. But I don't know who I am. It's one mom, and I often use this example of one mom, such an efficient mom, did everything perfectly. Children went through school, university, married, living their life. And now she's alone. Her husband has passed on. And she asked me the question, Dipti, who am I? Yes, her kids come and visit her, but life goes on. If I haven't invested in myself as a being of energy, as a soul, if I haven't invested in the fullness of my being, then when life changes around me, I will feel so empty because I have not invested enough in myself. Play your role well as a mom, play your role well as a wife, play your role well as an employee, as an employer, play your role well in the different dimensions of your life. But remember, they're just a role. They're not the fullness of who you are. And the leakages come when I've identified so much with the roles, with the responsibilities, with the routines, and with the relationships of my life that I forget to be real. I often say these 4 R's: roles, responsibilities, routine, and relationships. They keep us busy and we all have to fulfill them. But if the real I is not present, one time or the other, those roles, responsibilities, when they change, they will create a level of hurt. And so come back to your journey and see where the subtle leakages are coming, and come into that space where I become very much aware of who am I. Grow bigger than your limited identity, because you are much more bigger than your limited identity. You're a beautiful soul with peace and amazing love and purity and wisdom and spiritual power. And never forget that. Never forget your DNA and the core of who you are. And when you hold on to that, then life won't just steal away your energy with all its dynamics. And know who it is that you belong to. You know, when life gets tough and sometimes worry, fear, doubt steps in, it happens. It's not that we're perfect, otherwise none of us would be. Sometimes worry does come, a certain situation comes, and it will breed worry. It will breed fear. It will breed doubt. It's real. But when the child in that level is overwhelmed by life, then it needs to remember who it is that I belong to. And really, when I'm able to take the support of that divine source, the one, that light of love that knows me, that understands me, and has accepted me for just who I am, let me create such a deep, real relationship with God. You know, when you are able to do that, you get back your life. Now, I've shared the story many times before, but I'm happy to share it again tonight. You know, many, many years ago, I was a school teacher at that time, and part of my community project is supporting an AIDS home. And there was this baby that was in this home that was fighting for her life. She was a fully blown AIDS patient, and she was fighting for her life. She was like 3 weeks old to a month old. And a couple had come to adopt a baby, and they looked at that baby, and because the baby was in the ICU unit of the home, and they said, no, this baby can't be adopted because this baby's fighting for life at the moment. And this couple got very drawn to this baby, so they said, okay, no problem. But every day they came to the home. They wore their gloves, the mask, and their apron, and this mother-to-be, possible mother-to-be, just held that baby in so much light and love. You know, the baby's name is Mbali. She must be about 18 years old now. She, you know, in a very short time, her white cell count increased, her oxygen levels increased, everything improved because she felt a sense of belonging. She felt a sense of being loved. Yeah. I'm using a very physical story here, but a very real story. And baby Mbali, now she's young Princess Mbali. I know her still. She's well, she's healthy. Yeah. What changed things? A feeling of belonging, a feeling of love. So sometimes many difficult things can happen in your life, and it can test you. But in that moment, know that you belong. Know that you are loved. Know that you are understood. Know that you are respected. And know that you are valued and safe. And this kind of spiritual commitment in your meditation to the divine source is very, very necessary. You know, they say in life, if you want to really come close to someone, you have to develop a relationship with them. You can't just at a distance say, okay, I know you. You know, they say in life, you only get to know a person once you live with them, isn't it? Yeah. Unfortunately, that sentence has been used in a negative space a lot. But, you know, in your quiet may, I don't say be super holy and super religious, and I'm not asking you for any of that. But develop a genuine relationship with that one source. And allow that source is allow that source in a very, very powerful way to be able to hold you in a deep, powerful way. And then when you come into life's journey in a certain way, you have deeper purpose. And sometimes life will be very challenging in so many ways, but keep the bigger picture and know why I'm here. So I see there are questions, and I see that there are certain things that you are sharing, which I really acknowledge. And yeah, let's go into a short conversation. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to connect with you, and let's deepen it.
Thank you, Sister Dipti. It's Lakshmi here. I'm blessed to join you
Hello,
today.
Lakshmi.
Oh, thank you very much. It was really, I hardly find words to describe my feelings. Thank you very much for all your, voice words, uplifting, inspiring. Okay.
It's just what's sitting in my heart.
Oh, thank you.
All I
It's coming
share.
from the heart. I could feel it. I
Yes.
could feel it. Thank you very much. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Yeah, Om Shanti.
So I'm sure everyone that's tonight with us also has a journey and a story. And feel free. Please feel free to add to what I've shared or comment to what I've shared, and let's build it for all of us together. I'd love to hear from you. Anyone? Don't be shy. I see some nice people here that I know. Nice question here, Krishni. Om Shanti, Sister Dipti. If the 4 hours take on such a big place in our lives, how do we peg onto at least one thing to trigger us into a positive way? So, lovely question, Krishni. And I find what helps us, and it helps me, is when I meditate in the morning, before I'm stepping into my day with all its different demands and the roles I have to play and the responsibilities I have to hold. When I meditate in the morning, I really go into the depth of soul consciousness. That means I go into that space where I really experience myself to be just pure energy. An energy that is pure and peaceful and loving and powerful. It's like sometimes you need a level of detachment from your so-called reality to see things in perspective. So when you get so caught up in a role and you get so caught up in a relationship, sometimes we lose perspective. It's like we're so deep into it. So that's why I find for myself in my morning meditation, it's really, yes, during the day I have to fulfill those roles. But in the morning time, when I really meditate and become just a soul, and I feel the reality of my eternal identity, then I find that, yes, I have responsibilities, but I'm able to play them with clarity, with lightness. I'm much more present in those relationships, but free from them at the same time, because I know a bigger story. I can play my role. You know, there was one mom that shared the other day. She's also meditated for a long time, and it was her birthday. And her kids and her grandkids, they love her so much. And they had this birthday party for her. And she shared so beautifully in her birthday party. And she said, you know, because every morning I meditate and I nurture myself as a soul, I'm able to so comfortably be a mom and a granny, and the kids love me. And they really enjoy her. But she's free. She's not so desperate in that role that if this is going to happen, that's going to be happening, then who am I? She lovingly plays the role of mom and she lovingly plays the role of granny, but she knows she's bigger than that. And so it's really the practice we need to detach. When we detach, we get perspective. And again, when I say detach, it doesn't mean you move away or run away or become cold with something, but you gain back perspective. Then when you step into those moments, you can enjoy it. But if you don't step out and you stay in, it's like you're in the middle of the soup as such. And when you stay middle of the soup, you can't see the whole story. You can't. I hope that helps. Anyone else? Some lovely thoughts. And some lovely people here. I can see my friends. Please talk to me.
Sister Dipti, it's Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Sister Dipti. Yeah, I just wanted to share just something that happened a few weeks ago. I went through about a week or two of not being able to sleep at night. I would get into bed and it was like, okay, well, I might sleep for an hour or two, and then I was up. And you know, you know me and getting up early in the morning. It's always been a bit of a challenge, but I thought, well, I'm having these sleepless nights. Let's try this meditation early in the morning. And I honestly couldn't believe the difference. Honest to goodness, it made such a difference. So instead of stressing because I'm not asleep, I was up at 3 and I was doing my morning meditation, and the connection and just that peace was just so different. And I did an experiment and I tried to meditate the following night, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. That morning time is magic. You know, if you really want to shift in your frequency, that morning meditation is a magic, really. Try it, and thank for sharing that, Lynn. You know, and I suppose then the focus moved from I can't sleep to something totally different.
Yeah,
And it
completely.
shifted the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just embraced it rather than trying to struggle against it. Yeah, just embrace
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
It's lovely. Lovely. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. So then let us have a nice meditation together and end off the session. Yeah. There's some lovely comments there, and thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, let's have a moment together.
If you could see what I see, you'd lose your breath for sure. You are the perfect replications and the ones that I adore. I carved you from a diamond so you might choose the love. Oh, my sweet creations, your beauty makes me weep. Oh, my sweet creations, the whole world's at your feet. And one day soon you'll see it. If you could see what I see, you'd never lose your smile. For you walk in my own footsteps when you walk that second mile. These are more than words, my love. This is poetry divine. My signature is everywhere, for all of life is mine. One day you'll see what I see, and you'll come to realize that every tear you ever cried, I wiped from my own eyes. I know your every feeling, and I felt your every joy. But you and I are one, my child, still illusion was the choice. If you could see what I see, you'd lose your breath for sure. You are the perfect replications. You're the ones that I adore.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
That's Sister Dipti. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Great. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good night.